Casual noob asks for love. I haven't been to the Battle.net forums in a while, but apparently things have changed. This has now become a board where you're aiming to find love. Alright, let's have a look. First change. Option to add buildings to control groups before starting the game. That would be nice. Just like in AoE 4. I didn't realize that AoE 4 has that. But I agree. You can pre-assign control groups in some newer RTS games, and it's pretty sweet. It's the same for like camera control groups, like camera locations. You can set those up out of the game, and it will just like remember it for the next time you're on the map. One thing I do like though about StarCraft is that it's just kind of clean. Like every game starts with a clean slate, and there's like nothing that's saved other than like maybe your own brain. Control group 1FJF12, your choice. Alright. After using the control group, all buildings are selected, but you can only use one type. The first one in the alphabet. You can change the selected buildings using the group change button. Thank you, Andy. Thank you very much. If you want, you can make a few control groups. Second change, the option of setting one control group to which all newly produced units are assigned, with the possibility of removing any units from the control group. I agree. You know what? I kind of went to the forums expecting a bit of a... You know that meme of the guy coming home with pizza and the whole house is on fire? That's kind of what I expected when I arrived here. But this I fully agree with. Great changes. It's just that, yeah, Blizzard is not doing anything. Yeah, but you know, I like it. Can we please delete the Swarm Host from the game? I think the Swarm Host is probably the worst unit in the game right now in competitive play, right? Is there a unit in StarCraft 2 that is weaker than the Swarm Host right now? No. I think Swarm Hosts are the worst unit in all of StarCraft 2 multiplayer at the moment. Maybe Battlecruisers? Maybe Battlecruisers. Yeah, maybe Battlecruisers. Battlecruisers kind of have a place in late-game TVT sometimes. Swarm Hosts, I guess, are mid-game ZVP sometimes. ZVT against Terran mech, maybe. But they're both pretty shit. Please delete the Swarm Host. You don't even have to replace it with anything. Removing it from the game so people don't make it by accident would actually be a buff. Once the pit goes down, I make these by accident and it's pretty much GG. Brother, you can just remove the hotkey. You can just remove the hotkey in the game. No one should ever make these unless they are experiencing boredom beyond comprehension and want to troll and lose. Why are they still here? They make disruptors look OP. They're a botched experiment and a reminder of when StarCraft 2 started to go downhill. The introduction of the Swarm Host was 2013. 2013 with the introduction of Heart of the Swarm. According to Juno, the game has been going downhill since 2013. It's been a while. Yeah. He probably also thinks StarCraft 2 is a dead game. They're in no way a replacement for Infested Terrans. They were not ever... Microbial Shroud was the replacement for Infested Terrans. We had Infested Terrans and Swarm Host in the same time period. And they're a constant reminder of how badly the Infestor, peace be with on him, got screwed over by quote-unquote balance. Oh no, Juno, you're making things up now. The balance team has never discussed making Swarm Host something other than a meme unit. Just get him out of here. The Swarm Host is one of those units, right, that's like on the brink of being overpowered. Like, you gotta sometimes... I think it's nice to like view StarCraft 2 balance sometimes as like walking a tightrope. At the moment, the Swarm Host is just like slightly terrible. But if you make any buffs to it, it might become absolutely oppressive within an instant. Because it's such a difficult unit to get right. Like, in general, free unit design, like for example the Infested Terran, is pretty much impossible to balance. I think the way that the Brute Lord does it is okay. But I'm always a little hesitant with suggesting Swarm Host buffs. Even though it's kind of a meme unit, it can become very overpowered very quickly. Unbind the key, yeah. Actually, there's quite a few pro gamers that do have the swarm host on like a hotkey that is way off to the side, so you can't accidentally make it. You know Larry, the accidental swarm host? We see less and less and less of those because pro gamers have rebound the hotkey. I kind of understand where he's coming from, though. For the first time in 7 years, TOS isn't leading in Grandmaster. Blizzard engineers, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna just open this up in another tab because I'm always a little worried. Oh, he's talking about team count per race. Yeah, Protoss is actually not as common in Grandmaster League right now as it used to be. That's very true. That was a while when, like, 3/4 of Grandmaster was Protoss. Yeah, right about right here. Look at that. It gets pretty out of hand. But, alright, fair enough. Why removing entire map set? We've got the whole new set of maps, but why completely removing all old maps? Introduce 3, maybe 4 at most, but not 9? Are you insane? And why there is no map rotation? Some maps... That is the map rotation, dude. Some maps from the previous season should be reintroduced to the map pool. I honestly agree with this general consensus. I think they should put it on a cycle. The thing is, Blizzard gets, like, one guy to look at StarCraft 2 once every Wednesday afternoon every 7 months. So, you know, some sort of, like, actual system that would rotate the maps, if that could be made, that would be awesome. If it would be automatically done. But since that's not the case and somebody has to manually introduce maps, and since Blizzard is barely trying the bare minimum, or at least they're allocating the absolute bare minimum, I think it's the best thing to do to just replace all 9 of them. Yeah. I actually think it's better. I think more maps would be better than less maps. I'm down for an 11 map pool. Wow. This is beautiful. Brother has found a way to pronounce the same word, but have a different meaning. Until Protoss is brought to heal, StarCraft 2 won't heal. I've got chills all over my body. Captain Schmidt coming in. Until Protoss is brought to heal, Okay, you just literally... You just copy-pasted the thing. You didn't even do that. You just wrote the same thing twice. He felt so smug that he decided to just write the title and the post. Terrible player says blah, 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 blah. I think Winter Knight is a Protoss player. Yeah, I think he's a Protoss player. Yeah, fair. Those that say Protoss is the easiest have not played it. So I used to thought... I used to thought that Protoss was the easiest. After all units are very strong. I used to think... Oh, now it's present tense. Okay. I used to think Terran the hardest, then Zerg middle ground, then Protoss the easiest. I think that whoever says so have not played them all 3. Zerg is the easiest by far. Seriously, you can do so many mistakes, it's unbelievable, and it's very forgiving since you can produce everything from the hatchery. Then it comes Terran, second, being moderately hard and being also easier than Protoss. Your tier 1 units are the best in the game. Then Protoss, it is by far the hardest race. Anyone that says it's the easiest, it's because they haven't tried it themselves. Go ahead, try it. Everything is expensive, really expensive. I welcome anyone that disagrees to tell me their own experience playing all races. Look, there is no easy race in StarCraft 2, right? Like, StarCraft 2 is just a really hard game. It's just really freaking hard. That's kind of the main problem you run into. The game is freaking brutal. Easy race may only be relative. Plus, I think the one thing that is certainly agreed upon in general, the easy race is the one you don't play. Like, the grass is always greener on the other side. But I do think across the board, Protoss is slightly easier than the other races. Although, it is not easy. And it's been different in the past. There have definitely been different metas in the past where the other races were a little bit easier. But it's just that Protoss underperformed for years and years and years. They buffed them a bunch, and now they're slightly more forgiving, I think. But it's certainly not easy. What is going on with maps and custom game speed? A friend and I log in to play StarCraft 2 versus AI once a week. Tonight we encountered an unexpected issue. All of my bookmarked favorite maps will not load in a lobby. Problem 2, the custom game speed seems to be fastest no matter what the speed has been set to. These are classic Blizzard maps like a Lost Temple, Catherine Square, Nefor. Okay, I know Last Temple. Maybe these are Brood War maps? Wait, is he talking about Brood War? Catherine Square? I googled it. I came down to a Zillow listing. Do you think he, is he trying to play StarCraft 2 here? Catherine Square Apartments in Port Ellen, LA. You will experience the premier community. Oh. I don't know these maps. Anyways, I cannot understand why they would be removed. It appears brood marks need to be thrown out and reset with the current map list. There may be a bug with that. Honestly, a lot of those little bugs, like for example, I have a bunch of maps that are bookmarked. I think my maps that are bookmarked work. Yeah. They're just here. Average rating 1. 10,000 feet. There's one awful naming, hate the author. Funky Goog. Giving us all... Yeah, sure, thank you. Anyways. We do not check news about the game and are old and slow gamers that do not care to deal with the max AI at max speed. I'm having the same issue. All my Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm maps by Blizzard and Ladder are missing. Interesting. Yeah, the default game speed is the fastest setting. But I think you can probably host a map and make it slower. I honestly don't even know. Can you not just, yeah, game speed. You can set it up over here. It's just right over here. Odd. Will map publishing ever come back? I have hundreds of hours invested into a project. Should I just stop and give up? Maybe a rough timeline or something would be extremely appreciated. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So Blizzard basically disabled map publishing because some people decided to ruin it for the rest of others, right? So some folks basically uploaded content into custom maps that was certainly not allowed. You can guess. And they uploaded it. And, you know, now it's up on Blizzard servers. Blizzard doesn't have the capacity to, like, manually check every single map uploaded. So you run into these issues where either you build up an automated system or you have to manually approve anything that does get published. I'm not sure. Like, it looked for a while like they were working on it. And maybe I'm mistaken, right? So basically, there were a bunch of people that were uploading sketchy stuff. They took offline the map publishing aspect of things. Then they waited like a half year or so, re-enabled it. Everybody thought they had, like, made changes to it. They just re-enabled it. And then the people that were uploading the sketchy content just continued yet again. So they shut it down once more. I don't think they really did anything. I think they just kind of, like, waited a half year or so and then hoped that the guys that were being annoying got it out of their system. But, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure. I'm not sure. please piss off with AI, fix the root issue. The root issue are people being dicks. That's the root issue. Being able to inject dependencies, right. But like, if you're gonna have user-generated content, it's very likely you will run into some really questionable stuff from time to time. And when StarCraft 2 got released in 2010, I don't think it was as much of a problem as it is right now. I don't remember if companies were held as accountable back then, but... yeah. I'm not sure. Using an AI system to detect messed up things seems like a good idea to me. But again, it would require Blizzard to, you know, actually put in effort. Mech is the composition that needs teleportation the most. Everyone knows that Zerg, Protoss, and Terran Bio are faster than Mech. Mech is the slowest, least mobile army in the game. Yeah, that's because it's the most powerful. Now, as soon as your Mech army moves out, the Zerg can spam Nidus Worms in your base. Terran Mech is already expensive, slow, and cumbersome. It cannot trade bases efficiently. The balance team thought Mech wasn't dying fast enough, so they introduced brainless abilities. He's talking about the Nidus Worm and the Mothership Recall. Do you want Terran to die? Honestly, there's a deeply ingrained bias in the game that playing Mech is easy. Maybe that was true 10 years ago, but for the past decade, the non-stop patches have nerfed Mech at every turn. Mech is way easier to play than Terran Bio. There's no way that is not, like, agreed upon in general. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, Terran Bio is way harder. It depends, though. It depends, though, on, like, the level you're playing at, right? Mech is the composition that needs a teleport ability the most. The one that can least afford to be caught in a war of movement. And yet it is the only one without a large-scale strategic relocation tool. I think some of it has to do with the size of the maps. Like back in the day, maybe that's what he's referring to, right? Like maybe the maps back in the day were smaller in general, so it's easier to actually get across. But I think making Mech more mobile may make it a little silly. Yeah. It would still not be viable in TvP with Recall. That's very true. Literally everything Protoss hard counters Mech. Yeah, that's also an insane take, dude. If they wanted Mech to be good versus Protoss, make Hellions more durable versus Cannons. Okay. Mech has never been great against Protoss. It's mostly the Immortal, I guess. The Immortal makes it very tough, but even Zealots with Charge are scary. StarCraft 2 will be at Blizzcon next year. Yeah. I saw the same thing. Can't wait to see more PvP. TOS needs another 151 MMR removed to make the game balanced. If the game is made balanced, I would excited to see good games. But if Protoss is going to fast track a bunch of lousy players in the finals, then I won't even bother watching. Okay. I love it when people complain that StarCraft 2 is a dead game, but then simultaneously also hate it when there's tournaments announced. Isn't that great? Like, you complain about a game not having enough people playing it, but then when, like, tournaments are announced by really large companies, you're like, I hate it still. Battlecruiser OP. Are they going to do anything about the Battlecruiser? It's fast, it hit hearts, it doesn't use energy, they bring it out at minute 5. As a Zerg player, I can't do anything. I have 21,000 games played, and I can say I know what I'm talking about. I am not a Serral or a Life. Whoa. That's a name I haven't heard in a while. But that unit is super fast and hard to counter. Okay, the queens are nerfed. You hit them with corruptors and they just disappear. For God's sake, at least they shouldn't be able to use that ability while you're attacking them. You abduct them with a Viper and they use it again. Sheikah, I don't want to backseat game too much, but I don't think you should be using Vipers, man. With 3 or 4 queens, you just can't stop 2 or 3 cruisers? You're telling me 3 battle cruisers can't be stopped by 3 queens? That's crazy. Use corruptors and you get eaten alive by 150 cyclones. I don't know what Blizzard is thinking. The game was perfect when it came out. What? But playing games where a single unit like the Tempest with Storm or the Battlecruiser wins the game on its own is ridiculous. Tempests weren't even in the game when it came out. Remember that not all of us are masters. No, I could tell. Zerg, Microbial Veil, Viper Cloud, Investor, Poison, Cockroach Mortars. He just referred to Ravagers as cockroaches. Aw. Queen Cures, Hydra Berserker, and the non-automatic Swarovski. Aren't those the fake diamonds made out of glass? Like the crystals? Yeah. This is a bit of a... The non-automatic Swarovski. I don't know. Maybe Swarm Host? Swarm Host! He's talking about Swarm Host. They used to automatically deploy stuff. They used to automatically send in their Locust. The non-automatic Swarovski. I love it. How many skills are... How does this have anything to do with battlecruisers, dude? How many skills or AP do you need to use all of that in... Or APM. Do you need to use all of it in one battle? It's completely ridiculous. It's becoming incredibly boring and monotonous. You only need to make corruptors against battlecruisers. Everything else is optional. Now, if your opponent is making cyclones, you don't want to make corruptors. But your problem is against battlecruisers. The Liberator uses his ability, and I can't even see him because of how far away he throws it. The Cyclone has all the speed and range. It's a mini Thor, but with mobility. I don't know about you, but I don't see any weaknesses in a cruiser or a Cyclone. I'm sure nobody will read this since they killed the game, but I'll leave my rant here. I think a few people read it, dude. We've read it. Yeah, no, we've seen it. I actually disagree with this in its entirety. I think battlecruisers need to be buffed. I'm sure many people will disagree, but I really miss battlecruisers being a viable unit at the pro level. I think they're one of the coolest units in the entire game. And yeah, if you never see them, then why does it exist? Like, I think buffing Swarmhost is kind of risky, even though it's kind of an underutilized unit. Mostly because it's such an easy thing with, like, free unit design to become incredibly oppressive. But I think battlecruisers are cool, man. Yeah, it's definitely the worst tier 3 unit in the game. Yeah. Tempests are useful. Carriers are useful. Motherships are useful. Broodlords are quite useful, although, much better now, though, with the latest updates. Ultras are reasonably useful, too. Battlecruisers are not. I guess the alternative would be like a Thor. A Thor is also not very useful. The main problem with battlecruisers are just to take forever to build, and they're insanely expensive. Like, they're 400 minerals, 300 gas each. So making them is just... It takes so long, and it is just so expensive. But once you get them, they're actually good. So I wouldn't mind seeing, like, a build time reduction, maybe. You would have to do something specifically for the battlecruiser itself, I suppose. But I kind of like it. I think it's a fun unit. Battlecruiser is a BS unit in one. Main issue, it comes out where Zerg has no real anti-air. Teleport problem is huge. Dude, how... There's such a disconnect with the Battle.net forums and, like, the rest of the StarCraft community in general, dude. It's so wild. I feel like 98% of the StarCraft 2 community agrees that battlecruisers are kind of terrible, or at least like not as good as they could be. But then on the forums now people are saying the unit is overpowered. How is that? I think before anybody responds, OP needs to put out his views on PvZ. This way we can know for sure whether or not he's actually complaining about balance or if he's a Protoss pretender. Wild Wolf is calling him out, man. He thinks he's masquerading and that this entire post is just to be able to balance whine about other things while pretending to be a Terran or a Zerg. He's actually a Protoss. Damn. You can tell that Wild Wolf watches a lot of, like, I don't know, detective television shows, you know? Don't even joke about that. Oh, we came in with a bold text right now. This is someone else. Don't even joke about that. Using Battlecruiser against Zerg nowadays. Oh, this is the guy that was complaining about mech being underpowered, right? Using Battlecruiser against Zerg nowadays is guaranteed way to get destroyed. Any semi-competent Zerg player will be overjoyed to see Battlecruiser. If your Battlecruiser arrives at the 6-minute mark, a little late. Anyways, Queens and Spores can easily hold it, and by the time your next Battlecruiser wave comes in, it will just get wiped out by a cloud of Corruptors. Battlecruisers are extremely expensive. Building them early severely cripples Terran's economy and tech progression. Well, if you're building them early, you should hit it like 6... maybe like 520 or so, I think. That's probably more reasonable. Anyways, building them early severely cripples the Terran's economy and tech progression. Meanwhile, the Zerg can just mindlessly spam Corruptors and Roaches and easily win the game. In fact, if you are in a higher MMR bracket, you would realize that Battlecruiser-based mech compositions have already been completely phased out against Zerg at that level. Even if Zerg doesn't win in the early or mid-game, their Corruptors can later morph into Brute Lords. Yeah, and if you were a little bit of a higher MMR bracket, you would know that that doesn't really happen either. Anyways, the latest patch has made Brute Lords incredibly powerful. They can now shred even Thors in a direct fight. At this point, I genuinely don't know how a Zerg player could possibly lose to Battlecruiser mech. If you manage to lose with Zerg in this matchup, it really just means you're terrible. Damn, Edison. Edison, what's your can we check out your league? Can we see what your Edison doesn't have a view profile button. I guess he's been inventing things. He's been busy. Maybe I'll have a light bulb moment over here about Terran mech. I don't know. If it's not spotted fast enough... Okay. Holy shit, we can just say that on the forums? Okay. Jeez. What a... what a place. What a crazy place to be. Give us another StarCraft. Bro, you and me both. We have waited long enough. While you're at it, bring back classic BattleNet so we can create clans, hold ops, and grow communities. Worst decision you guys ever made was changing the original style. That's all. Have a great weekend. The problem, says Dark Server, is that StarCraft 2 is a finished storyline. The problem is money. The storyline is absolutely irrelevant. They could make a storyline out of thin air. They could do anything. They could do a different world. They could do a prequel. They could do they can do whatever they like. The problem is money. That's the problem. Honestly, what they should do is just continue development of StarCraft 2. That's what I would like to see. Okay, I'm going to read one more thread. But I think I've already read pretty much all of it. Yeah, I think a StarCraft prequel is an interesting idea. Now, you could do literally anything. The storyline is whatever. The only problem is just that, like, making a game is expensive. And why risk it, you know? Like, if you're a AAA studio in 2025, why make a game that is only PC-based? When you could make a game that can also be played on, like, preferably mobile and console and everything else in between. Why make a game that is exclusively PC-based? We have seen a couple of developers try to make like an RTS that is playable on mobile or an RTS that's playable on console with a controller, it doesn't really work. So, you know, if you're gonna make a PC-only game, why would you make a game then that's that niche of an audience? Like, I wish that wasn't the case, but if you're about to dump however many hundreds of millions it takes to build a AAA title in 2025, why risk it for an RTS game if you're a Blizzard, you know? Because they've probably thought about it, right? Like, they probably would have liked to be able to sell units in a StarCraft 3. If they could sell you a Marauder with +1 damage for 20 bucks, yeah, they probably would have considered doing it, but it would completely destroy the spirit of the game. Honestly, I think it's unlikely that we are going to be seeing a company like Blizzard release a StarCraft 3. I just don't see it happening anymore. It's just, financially speaking, probably not what they want to be focusing on. I also highly doubt, though, that they will throw away the StarCraft universe altogether. Like the IP. I think they'll probably release some other game in the StarCraft world at some point. But I don't think it will be an RTS. I'd be very surprised. Maybe they'll one day actually release the Nova first-person shooter type of thing. Yeah, like an extractor shooter. That was the rumor that was going around for a while, that it was going to be some sort of like Helldivers type of game that they are working on right now. But I feel like most of the Blizzard releases, though, over the last few years have all been a little bit like they've all had like little asterisks right next to them. Some of them could be really cool, dude, but it's all very obvious, and this isn't just Blizzard, it's all the AAA developers, but it's all very obvious that it's a money first and fun second type of approach. And I guess that's my main complaint about just AAA gaming in general. It's all about trying to like squeeze as much juice out of everybody playing it. So like, I would love to see a StarCraft 3, don't get me wrong. But I just don't see it happening, man, because you can't really squeeze that much money out of an RTS player. At least not if they do it the way that they have always done it. So I get back again to indie devs. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. It's a bit of a shame that, well, Stormgate didn't work out. Maybe Zero Space can turn out to be really sick. It's a bit of a shame as well that Battle Aces was cancelled. Battle Aces look really fun to me. There's a bunch of games, like Immortal is also still in development, I believe, that like could look really good or could be really good. But yeah. StarCraft 2 is still excellent, though. And I really don't think it's gonna go anywhere. So we'll see. What I would really like to do, though, what I would really like to see one day is just Blizzard spending a little bit more time on games like StarCraft. I've mentioned this so many times before, but I think it's kind of insane that like it's completely left by the wayside, that it's just pretty much nobody working on it. I genuinely think it's like one guy, or maybe two guys, that occasionally get a little bit of time to fix some of the most blatantly obvious issues. But to not just have like a small group of people working on some of your classic games full time is just insane to me. Like, why not? Seriously. Like, they technically own everything that's in the arcade, right? Like, there's people that have made their entire co-op commanders for them. They could literally put them into multiplayer and then say like, hey, you can now buy these for 10 bucks, right? Like, that would be kind of scummy. But seriously, like, you could have a team of like 3 guys fixing some of the biggest issues and occasionally releasing a co-op commander, and that would certainly bring you at least like break even. It would certainly give you the absolute minimum needed to run the game. Because at this point, like, they are spending money, right? Like, keeping the servers online is not cheap. Like, they're spending money. So why not, like, just make it ever so slightly more? Especially since it's freaking, it's you know, it's Microsoft we're talking about. It's an absolute drop in the bucket. They could do, like, one engineer, one artist. And that would already go such a long way. One of the problems, though, that apparently is a thing you run into with games like this is that nobody actually understands the legacy coding. So StarCraft 2 is built, like the engine is built in probably like 2008, 2009 or so. And it's not using any of the modern programming, right? So you're gonna have to like basically have somebody teach themselves. Which would probably take like a half year just to like understand and be able to fix any problems. And I guess you probably have a limited amount of people as it is, so you kind of need to like prioritize things, and maybe focusing on your legacy games is not a good idea, but as a fan it hurts, dude. As a fan it kind of sucks. Yeah. It is what it is.